Hey, this is the NerdFlow. We're a bunch of nerds and we have words flow out of our mouth. My name is Drew and I am joined by my lovely co hosts, Jai and
I guess I'm
Janko.
supposed to say something at that point or
You,
talk over Drew. I think that's a good way to introduce ourselves for the first
hmm
time. What do you think?
you probably should say something at some point. I mean, like, this is a podcast, this is a thing where we want to talk and sort of banter with each other, I guess. Talk about a whole bunch of our sort of different nerdy interests, things that interest us metal music, games, pop
Mhm.
culture, all those kind of things.
Movies, yes.
No one said there was going to be talking involved.
when,
I thought
when
this was some
when do we
sort of chocolate podcast.
when do we get paid?
We don't get paid. There is no money.
When do we
There
get
is
a
no money
$100 million
involved here.
Spotify contract? What?
That'll hopefully that'll come down the track. If you do like the podcast, keep listening.
Very good.
All right. The reason we are here today
Yeah, I
is
didn't
Iron Maiden.
introduce myself.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Janko. You can continue.
Good. Glad that we got that out of the way.
Mhm.
So the
Hi,
reason...
Janko. How you doing today, mate?
Very good, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. All right. Do you guys like Iron Maiden?
Heard a few songs.
Given that you're both in Iron Maiden shirts and Jai, I can
Okay.
see all the records in your background, I think
Yep.
you would like Iron Maiden. Fun fact, Janko and I actually bonded really early in our friendship over Iron Maiden because I remember
Mhm.
you showed me a video that you had cut together of Carmageddon 2
Yes.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
soundtrack
yeah.
to The Trooper.
Yeah.
So,
That's how I originally got introduced to Iron Maiden. I borrowed the Carmageddon game from one of my uncles. It was extremely violent at the time and best graphics ever back in the freaking 90s, of course. And it played in the background. I was just like, the hell is this band? It's like it just everything about it was just so awesome. Like running over people, it fits so well. You know what I mean? Crashing into cars, and it was great. It was Man on the Edge, The Trooper, and Aces High.
yeah.
Did it
And
have
Be Quick or
did,
Be Dead was in it as well.
did it have the lyrics or were they just instrumentals?
No, it was the proper songs.
It was the
Ah.
full songs, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
So you're
Yeah.
running over people to you take my life, but I'll take his
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah,
it was
like there's no better track for it. What's your relationship with Iron Maiden, Jai? How did
Yeah,
you get into them?
That's interesting because I've been listening to him since high school, and I think it was just one of those natural progressions of, I watched wrestling, I heard Enter Sandman for the first time. I was like, what's that type of music? I got into Metallica. So finding Iron Maiden, I can't pinpoint the exact time. It definitely was the Number of the Beast album, though. And it was just kind of one of those things, you kind of fall in love with it. And my dad and I really bonded over that. Dad took me to see my first Iron Maiden concert with my brother, and he just fell in love after they came out for the Somewhere in Time tour, or Somewhere Back in Time tour.
Yeah.
I'm not that old. But after him seeing the Trooper live, funny enough, the Trooper once again, and Bruce running around flying that flag, my dad's been in awe ever since. So, we've bonded over it, and I know you two as well. I don't know who's seen Iron Maiden the most out of us. I think we're all tied in some sort of way, aren't we, at this point?
I think the upcoming tour,
Yeah.
so as of the podcast releasing this week, Iron Maiden are actually coming back to Australia after, like 7 or 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
8 years since they've last been here.
Yeah.
So all three of us going to the show, we're super excited, which is why we are doing a tier list of all of Iron Maiden's albums.
Yep.
It's a tier list and a ranking in one. So this could be controversial for some people. I know that all three of us will probably have some pretty strong opinions with it, but that is what it's going to be. And yeah, I think I've seen them 3 times. This will be the 4th time. Janko, I think you're the same. Jai,
Same. Yep.
you're the same, except you've seen them at Wacken as well. So you've got the leg up on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw him at Wacken, stuck in the mud, but you hear that Blade Runner theme play over the speaker, and then to hear Caught Somewhere in Time blasting. Oh, you guys, I just got goosebumps. Like, you guys are going to experience that in literally 16 days. Not like I'm counting, but 16 days.
Podcast doesn't come out until later. In 8 days.
You will certainly see it. Yes.
You will see it in blah days.
We're Australian. We're in the future anyway. They just don't know how far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, we're going to be putting together our tier list of Iron Maiden's albums and ranking them as well. Gentlemen, where do we want to start? Where do we want to start placing these albums? Who's got a suggestion?
Should we go in like discography order, like from first album?
Yeah, let's do that. We can have a bit of discussion. Then we can have the nightmare task of arranging them at the end, because I've got some hills I'm going to run to die on that you might not be happy with. So I'm looking forward to this being a pain. I think Drew stopped sharing the little screen, so we're in the dark now, which is fun.
Oh, okay. I have that screen over there.
There he is.
Cool. There we go. Yep. All right. So, Iron Maiden.
In the middle. There we go. Yep.
I think that's a C tier album, to be honest.
Are you going to look at songs or just what we know of the album?
We can definitely look at songs and like discuss some different tracks on it.
Yep.
Might pull up Spotify here.
Look, it's funny because I thought this is going to be controversial right off the bat. I'm sure other people are like, nah. And if you turn the podcast off already, you haven't heard me say this. But if you're still listening, we are in our 30s. It is a bit different. To me, at least, Iron Maiden is the voice of Bruce Dickinson. Don't get me wrong. There are some cool songs on some of these albums that don't feature Bruce. But I don't know. I feel Iron Maiden's very raw and it's very cool in its own little way. But to me, if that's what the band sound like for the whole discography, I probably wouldn't listen to them as often as I do. In fact, I'd probably be one of those bands where I'm like, I know 5 songs. Like, take it or leave it on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really could be like that. I think I agree there with, to me, Iron Maiden very much is Bruce. And that's not to say that Paul wasn't great, but it had to me more of a punky energy to it.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're looking at tracks, there are some absolute banger tracks on there. Like Phantom of the Opera, I still think holds up as one of the best Iron Maiden songs. But I kind of prefer Bruce singing it as well.
Yes.
So to me, I think this falls squarely in the middle of sort of quality of Iron Maiden personally. So I would say C tier. I'm happy to go B tier though. It just depends what you guys think.
Well, look, we're going to be chucking stuff around. I'm happy for you to sit and see at the moment. We don't have anything else up there. And by the way, we're comparing Iron Maiden to Iron Maiden here, guys. So if you're like, what are you thinking? It's like, you've got to compare Iron Maiden to Iron Maiden. We're not comparing on anyone else.
It's comparing a whole bunch of 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10s, to be honest. Like, that's really what it is because everything is so fantastic. So then if we move on to Killers, do you feel like Killers sort of stepped it up from the self-titled album, or do you think it kind of sat around the same?
Killers.
Look, it's got cooler artwork. I'll say that.
Agreed.
But it didn't have anything like Phantom of the Opera on it.
What have we got on Killers?
I don't know. It's one of those ones, man, where I'm like, Killers, Wrathchild's awesome. Purgatory's all right.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. Like, it felt like it didn't have, to me at least, the impact that Iron Maiden did. And especially if you think of like the cultural impact of when it originally came out, hearing Iron Maiden for the first time, the actual song Iron Maiden for the first time would have been insane. This feels like a bit more of the same. So to me personally, I kind of rank it, I'd say it's still a C tier album, but I think it ranks slightly lower than
like halfway.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And so far, we're all agreeing so far. This is going to change because we're going to get to the stuff we're more in tune with. And I've got some opinions that some people might not like. So let's see.
So up next, we have probably, I'd say, the most popular Iron Maiden album, the most well-known, the one that caused riots in the streets and people burning copies of it everywhere, which to me is insane. In Number of the Beast. Fellas, thoughts?
On that, before you start, people always go, oh, this generation's too soft. You guys in the 70s used to march in the street because people had long fucking hair and they listened to metal music. You listen to this compared to Cannibal Corpse? Grow up. Everyone's always been soft all along. No one's special. We're all stupid. Anyway.
Very well said. Yeah, all the snowflakes in the 80s going, oh, it's going to convert my child to Satanism. No, it's going to convert your child to heavy metal, which is great. Honestly, I think this is a solid A tier.
It's a very good album. Yes, so many good songs on it.
I don't think there's a bad song necessarily on it. And if you look at like individual songs, Hallowed Be Thy Name, I think is the most quintessential Iron Maiden song there is. So that at the very least earns an A tier, if not
Yeah.
S tier, because that is the song I use to introduce people to Iron Maiden because it tells everything that the band is about.
Yeah, it's just like a story. It's just everything. It's. Is that like one of their like first like fucking story songs? You know, they always have like one of those epics, I think is the word.
I think Phantom of the Opera would count as the first, but that's based on a story that already exists. Where Hallowed Be Thy Name, I think, was something new. That's I'm assuming Steve Harris Ari wrote it because he writes everything. But yeah, I've got a feeling that was kind of the first big one from start to finish. That really, I don't know, it just still holds up. It still holds up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I 100% agree. And are we thinking A tier or are we thinking S tier here?
I wouldn't be mad at putting it in S tier at all. Don't get me wrong. And some people might get angry going, it's definitely an S tier. There are some weaker tracks on it, but I don't know. It could move back down to A.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Hallowed Be Thy Name. And plus, I think everyone's parents knows Run to the Hill. Like that had such a big impact on everyone. And it's kind of like it was their mainstream kind of crossover. And it's such a banger of a song live too. So it's just one of those ones where you kind of go, yeah, I don't know. Put it up there for now.
Yeah,
all right.
in S, yeah.
All right, we've got it in S tier for now. So then that moves us on to Peace of Mind. I think all three of us would agree The Trooper is probably one of our favorite tracks. And as we mentioned earlier, probably the song that got us into Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
I think
seems like a uniting song across all front, The Trooper.
It really is one of those songs. And I mean, the album as a whole has heaps of bangers. Where Eagles Dare, Revelations, Flight of Icarus, Die With Your Boots On. Like,
Quest
that first half... I'm going to disagree with you there. I feel like the first half of the album is fantastic, but then after The Trooper, which is the 5th out of 9 tracks, the album kind of falls off to me. So that, me
I
at
like
least...
Still Life, but I really like Still Life.
True. Still Life actually is a pretty good song. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
But to me, it also doesn't hit the heights of the earlier songs.
Yes.
So while I think this is a fantastic album, I personally don't think it's an S tier album.
I would agree. I was actually giving it a spin earlier today just to catch just a refresher. And it definitely kind of sits in that A category, but it does. I think it ends well. I think To Tame a Land's a great ending.
Yes,
but it is one of those albums that, well, The Trooper is the big pickup, and then putting a dead bang at number 5 was probably the smartest thing you could do if you're listening to vinyls back in the 80s. But I think after that, Still Life is good. Don't get me wrong, but then Quest of Fire comes in. You're kind of like, what the hell are they
song about cavemen? What?
All right, so are we thinking A tier for this one for now?
For now, yeah.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Cool. And as we know, things can change. But I think something that isn't going to change is how great of an album Power Slave is. My God.
Yeah. This is, I think Power Slave, it goes in two ways with a lot of people, because some people fell off Maiden completely after Power Slave. Of course, they went with these big, long epics and a lot of songs like Power Slave, Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Yep.
You got the classics like, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight. So it is one of those albums that is just so, like, it's so metal. To me, and strike me down if you want to, but I always thought, why wasn't Power Slave talked about as kind of like the saving grace of metal instead of Master of Puppets?
I just looking at the song Power Slave itself, it's not another one of those quintessential songs that really has everything that you could want out of a Maiden track in it. It's got the beautiful soft parts. Steve Harris's bass solo is fantastic. You have the amazing guitar solos of Adrian Smith and Dave Murray, the drumming from Nico, the vocals from Bruce, like everything about that song and about this entire album really feels amazing. And it's kind of a contrast, I think, a bit to Peace of Mind, where the album ends stronger, because you do have that 1-2 punch of Power Slave and then Rime of the Ancient Mariner at the end. So to me, this definitely falls at the very least an A tier, if not heading into an S tier. A bit weak in the middle. I know, Jai, you're a bit of a connoisseur of Flash of the Blade.
I think Flash of the Blade is an awesome song. Everyone I know hates it. I love that song. I love that song. I don't know why. It is corny. The vocals are an interesting choice. The guitar riff is awesome, but I don't know. It's like they put so much cheese in the song for me, it cancelled itself out. But I must be the only one in history that thinks that because I'm the only person that fucking says it.
Maybe I'm lactose intolerant and I can't handle the cheese.
Yeah.
So, are we thinking S or are we thinking A for this one?
If we've got Number of the Beast in S, I think Power Slave's in S.
Cool. Now, do we put it ahead of Number of the Beast?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get to the end. And then,
let's just go to the tier list.
And then pull our hair out at the end when we've got to put them in order. That's the fun part of the podcast.
All right, fair enough. So then we're moving to Somewhere in Time, which...
S.
It's 100% S. Like, it just goes
next question
straight away. This is like literally the top tier album, I think. Like, to me, this goes straight into S. There is not a weak song on this album from start to finish. And there will be a lot of old school fans that have seen that we put Killers and Iron Maiden in C tier and then gone, but there's synths in it. Why are there synths? That's not an instrument. And I do not care. This album is amazing from start to finish. Absolutely fantastic. Hard smash into the S tier. No questions asked.
Smash.
And if you have an opinion on it, I don't want to hear it.
I actually do want to hear it just so I can tell you that you're wrong.
If you have an opinion, shut up.
So then now we move.
Opinions are like arseholes. Talk to Drew.
Yeah.
Apparently. So then we move to the seventh album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And this is, I think, they just hit 2 back-to-back flawless 10 out of 10 albums. Like,
there we go.
If you asked me to choose between Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and Somewhere in Time, that would be like choosing, do I want to chop off my hands or do I want to chop off my feet? Like, I'm going to suffer either way. Both albums are absolutely fantastic. And the album art, like the story behind it, it's sort of kind of loosely a concept album around the whole idea of a seventh son of a seventh son. Then you've got the bangers like Moonchild. I'm not the biggest fan of The Evil That Men Do, but it's still like one of the best songs that they've ever put out.
You're not a fan?
Yeah, I love that song.
I think I've just heard it so much that it's kind of like lost a bit of meaning and it's just become medieval Kathmandu, like it sounds like it is. Which I know you can't unhear once you hear it.
What about Playing with Magnets? Do you like that?
That's the first time I've heard that. You've ruined it for me.
Play with magnets. Magnets, how do they work?
I think this goes straight into S tier.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. This was another one I listened to today because I haven't sat down and listened to it start to finish in such a long time. And I forget how well it flows.
Yeah.
It just flows extremely well.
Start to finish, it is an absolutely fantastic album, which I think is a bit of a stark contrast to No Prayer for the Dying.
No Prayer.
And look, let me just say something. All metal got weird when the 90s came around. I think Metallica were one of the old bands that was successful, but even they had to change their sound a bit to be successful because grunge came in a bit later. Everyone wanted to be a bit different. Metallica kind of rode that wave. And it's hard. They released all these fantastic albums, and I think Burnout was the biggest place. Like Somewhere in Time, Bruce didn't even do any lyrics for it because he was so burnt out. Adrian took over some of his songwriting. So I think it was just one of those things where a lot of the bands of the 80s and the late 70s in their heyday were just getting tired and people weren't necessarily interested in big, bright colors anymore and wanted to look grungy. So a lot of it suffered.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take.
Grunge. Look at that look. Oh. Yeah. Leather jackets.
We're in the 90s now.
I know there's double denim somewhere in there.
100% there is double denim, especially if you've seen the Holy Smoke video, which I think wins the award for the best music video Iron Maiden have ever come out with. It is just fantastic.
Hold that photo up of Bruce again. Did they go, hey, we're taking the photo? And Bruce queued himself up ready to take that photo 20 seconds too early? Because he looks mad, man. He looks pissed off.
He really does. Is No Prayer for the Dying D tier?
Let me have a look at the songs. Let's have a look. Holy Smoke's so good.
Okay.
I love Holy Smoke.
First of all, the album starts with Tail Gunner, which in my mind is one of the worst tracks to ever start an album on.
Yeah.
Ever. Tail Gunner is probably my least favorite Iron Maiden song for good reason. It feels bad. It should show itself out.
It's not a good starting song.
No, not at all.
And that's funny because I hear so many people on the internet praise Tail Gunner as being one of the best songs of that album. And
Really?
I agree with you guys, especially as a starting song, because it kind of falls flat with just the tail gunner part. I'm like, compared to like Aces High or something like that, where there's so much energy. And Iron Maiden would always open, a new album tour with the opening track. And I can only imagine going to see Maiden and Tail Gunner being the opener and falling a bit flat. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have lost fans at that point. So to me, is it D tier? Is it C tier? What are we thinking?
I personally would chuck it in D because I just feel like this was. It's been 2 years. We need to get an album out.
Yeah.
Wow, we got our first D tier album.
There's a reason I don't think they play any songs off that live. Like looking at it, it'd be interesting to see when the last time they played anything of this album live was.
It feels like Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter would be the only one that really kind of gets some play. But again, I still feel like there are stronger, poppier songs because that was their first sort of real commercial success song as well, I believe.
And wasn't that a Bruce Dickinson song he was going to write for his solo album anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I believe it was.
Huh.
Now, we move marching on in the 90s to Fear of the Dark. How are we feeling about this?
The last album before Bruce and Adrian dipped.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's definitely a step up from No Prayer from the Dying.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
There are some. I'm just looking at it again. There are some bad songs on here, but "Be Quick or Be Dead," great song.
Yep.
"Fear of the Dark," legendary song. Like if this album was a complete D tier, you could still have "Fear of the Dark" possibly save it enough to bring it up to B tier. Like "Fear of the Dark" is that strong. But "Would You Just Be My Guide" and
Wasting Love,
Strangers. Yeah,
I think the songs on here are good. I don't think any of them, other than Fear of the Dark, really hit the strengths of many of their albums in the 80s.
Do I have a weird, unpopular opinion to say that I really fucking love Childhood's End as a song on this album? Does anyone else share that? I really like Childhood's End as a song.
I mean, I like it. I don't like it that much.
I don't know, just something about it, like the tempo of it and stuff. Like, I don't know, I love it.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it because that's one. Like, this is an album where, I don't listen to it all the time, and I think if I've got it on the background, Childhood's End might just kind of slip away because I always know I'm wasting love. I love how Wasting Love, and I'm looking at Spotify at the moment, has 97 million streams because people who are casual fans think it's wasted years. And they've actually Wasting Love. That is actually a proven statistic that they've gone into.
Amazing,
it going, wait, that's not the song, and it only gets played up until like the first chorus before they're like, wait, I found the other one. It's wasted years. Wow. Yeah. Funny little thing on that one.
So, do we feel like this is a B tier album? Because as you mentioned, like Fear of the Dark, I think bumps it up from something like D tier absolutely immediately. And the other songs are all good. They're all well above average songs. Some leaning, I think, even towards the greater side, even though they don't hit the heights of others. So to me, this is floating between C and B.
So maybe in the middle of the two.
I'm happy for you to sit it in C or B at the moment, and then we might rearrange it as things go on.
Let's chuck it in B tier for now, just to sort of sit there and see how we feel about it as we march on to B for Blaze. Blaze Bailey.
B for Blaze. Blazing with Blaze.
Yeah.
I always get which of these albums, like, they are confused, but then I have to go, it's X Factor first, because X Factor is... No. Yeah, it is X Factor first, because that was the 10th album.
X Factor?
Yes.
No,
X for 10.
X for 10, exactly.
Yeah, Virtual 11. Oh, yeah, makes sense, yeah.
What, Virtual 11 came after the album with the X in it?
Is this a Today I Learned, Janko? Do you... He finally got past the number 10 and got to number 11. Wow.
I may have dropped out of maths.
Wow.
But, what was the third thing you said?
How do you guys rate this compared to something like Iron Maiden or Killers?
I can't read the friggin' song. It's so dark and...
look, it's one of those ones, man. It's got some good songs on it. I just don't necessarily like Blaze singing them. And it's not a shot against Blaze. He had to fill in for Bruce. And look, I'm normally the guy that gives everyone a bit of a chance, right? But the fact that Bruce came back to the band and I've heard these songs sung by Bruce has kind of ruined my listening experience.
You look at something like Sign of the Cross, which is another
Sign
one
of
of
the
those grand epics, and Bruce just takes it away amazingly.
Yep.
And I could say Sign of the Cross is one of their better songs. Like, that's a top 20 Maiden song for me, Sign of the Cross. I don't know where it would sit in the top 20, but for me, I think Sign of the Cross, especially, I think it's live in Rio where Bruce is doing it. It's just...
the Rock and Roll one.
That gets so many plays from
Jesus
me.
Christ.
It is so fantastic. The song as a whole is just amazing. But I don't think it's enough to bring up the rest of the album.
No.
The rest of the album feels mid to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Man on the Edge is good. I don't mind the artwork. I like the kind of claymation style they kind of went for this, bit different to everything else they've done. I don't know why they went that way. I guess, no, actually, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Bands like Fear Factory and Tool and all that were using claymation with machinery in their artwork around this time.
Really? This is true.
Yeah.
Like, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think 9 Inch Nails are like all the darker, kind of like industrial metal bands were using claymation along with stuff, especially Tool. I've got to think maybe the record label was like, bit edgier. It's the X Factor, It's the X. So I think maybe that's what inspired the artwork a little bit on this one. I wouldn't be surprised at all, actually.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So are we sitting this in D tier?
Yeah, but I've got a feeling it's going to be the stronger of the D tier albums. But it's I think it's D tier still. We'll see. We'll see. I do like Man on the Edge as well.
Temporarily, we'll put it ahead of No Prayer for the Dying. Virtual 11 is here. I didn't see the album artwork properly, and I was like, "Wait, that's not Brave New World." I thought it was blue in the background. Tells you how much I know about that song, or about that album in general.
I have the future VR headset. Oh my god!
Wait, do I have the patch on this jacket yet? Oh yeah, there it is. Is it on the patch? Yes, it is.
Nice. I think Virtual 11 is a slightly stronger album than the X Factor, but not by much, personally.
All right. I want you right now to go put on The Angel and the Gambler twice in a row and tell me that again.
S tier, Angel and the Gambler.
All right. We don't need a list anymore. Where is S plus tier? Because this is going in.
Podcast is over.
Angel and the Gambler aside, I think it's actually a better album. Like, Don't Look to the Eyes of a Stranger, I think, is a great song.
That's a good one.
You've got the Klansman on there as well. You got Future Real, a nice short song that slaps. To me,
it's better than X Factor.
It's better than X Factor, but is it worthy of D tier or C tier?
It's funny. I was so stuck in my ways that X Factor was the better album, because it had Sign of the Cross. I think Sign of the Cross is the best song of the Blaze era, but the Klansman's right behind it. And then you got Don't Look to the Eyes of a Stranger and Future. Oh, I can never pronounce that word anyway. They're better than, the second and the third best song on X Factor. And as much as shit I give the Angel and the Gambler, it's almost a meme at this point. It's so bad, it's good.
And I think it's the second best video that they've done.
I talk so much shit about the Angel and the Gambler. The program we're using to record this kicked me out, so I'm sorry. Angel and the Gambler, fantastic. The album goes into C tier.
Yeah.
All right, we're putting it into C tier.
Our Lord and Savior, Angel and the Gambler.
So now, the return, Iron Maiden as a 6-piece. Finally. The full current lineup, the 2000s era. We have Brave New World.
One of my favorite artworks out of all of Maiden's stuff, to be honest with you. I love the aesthetic of that. I'm big into the sci-fi stuff. Brave New World, fantastic book. It's a shame the series didn't take off. But yeah, I don't know. From the artwork, you look at that, you're like, cool. Iron Maiden in the back, because the artwork was so different to the last ones. And then it opens with the Wicker Man. Like, oh, what a track.
Yeah.
What a track.
I'd argue that's probably one of the best opening tracks of any Iron Maiden album ever.
Yeah.
It just gets you straight away.
It really,
just bam, like it's there.
Drives and sets up the rest of the album.
Yeah.
And I feel like Brave New World as a whole is one of those albums that doesn't really have a weak song. Like, it definitely has a sort of peak and valley where it starts really high and it takes you on kind of a roller coaster, and you go through songs like Blood Brothers, which is just an out of this world song. Brave New World itself,
Mm.
Yeah.
Out of the Silent Planet is great. The thin line between love and hate, my mum loves that song.
Yeah.
I think it's a great album.
This was the first album I actually purchased of theirs.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Brave New World.
I think it's the first album I purchased 2 copies of because we broke the disc of one of them, so I needed to broke the CD case of one of them, so we needed to get a second copy.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Yeah, this was the first one I bought. It's good.
What are we thinking?
Such a good album.
A tier or S tier?
I think it's definitely A. Like you said, there's no weak song, and it's got some phenomenal standout tracks. But do I think they stand out as much as something on Power Slave? Probably not, but this is probably the best comeback album you could ever have.
I agree with that. I think I don't think it quite reaches the heights of something like a Power Slave or a Number of the Beast, but I think it's solidly up there. And it's going to be an interesting conversation to see whether it takes peace of mind.
Because I really like Brave New World. Like, me personally, I would put it up in S. I really like Brave New World, as an album.
Well, it's not too late. We've still got to shuffle these around at the end. So, look, I'm happy for you to sit it up in S tier for now. I definitely am. It might shift. We don't know once we actually have push comes to shove. But
shake it up a bit.
Look, we have the benefit of this being a ranked list, so not everything needs to sit. We don't need to have a balance between tiers because Iron Maiden legitimately probably do have like 7 or 8 S tier albums that can sit there.
And it'll be up for me to decide and tell you all which one's the best. In my opinion, is law.
I'd have to listen to him. He's wearing a battle vest, folks. You need to listen to him.
Yeah.
Moving on to Dance of Death,
Smells like Maiden.
Moving on to Dance of Death, which 100% has an F tier artwork to it.
Counter argument to that: the Reaper looks great. Everything around the Reaper looks dog shit.
Honestly, if you were to look up in a dictionary or fucking Wikipedia about like the first AI generated image, like you give AI a prompt, I want the Reaper surrounded by a guy in like a fucking like donkey mask or butt naked in a ritual. That's what would appear. Like
we want like the weirdest pale orgy of people surrounded by a badass looking Reaper.
Yeah. And shameless plug for these guys, but a lot of these patches are from Pull the Plug patches. They just released a Dance of Death patch where, oh look, they removed all the CGI characters.
As they should.
How can we make it better? Remove everything.
Now, art aside, I think it's actually another fantastic album. I don't think it reaches S tier heights quite, and I'd almost hesitate even to put it in A tier, but it is at the very least a solid B.
I want to know your guys' least favorite song on this album because I have a strong take.
Least favorite?
Yeah.
All right,
I think I know your guys' favorite. You've talked about it before. It's not my favorite. It's one of my favorites of the album.
What's my favorite?
Passchendaele.
Yes.
Correct. It is also my favorite.
I think I like Dance of Death more. I'm not sure. Or Rainmaker.
I love Dance of Death.
Oh, Rainmaker's so good. I fucking love Rainmaker.
Wildest Dreams. No More
Fun
Lies,
fact about
Monster
Rainmaker. No one's going to believe me about this.
I do.
So, you know exactly what I'm going to say. So, because I think we experienced this. So, like, this has to go in our conspiracy podcast or something at some point because every time I started listening to Rainmaker, it would rain the next day.
Yep.
During high school.
Same thing happened to me. Like literally every single time we had it on, there was a point where we were traveling to uni on the train together and it was a bright sunny day. And then one of us had Rainmaker come on our iPods, our good old iPods. And then it was raining by like 11 o'clock.
Can you boys do me a favor? On the 11th of September, do not listen to Rainmaker. Iron Maiden is on the 12th. I am going to the pub to enjoy the new Trooper beer, and it's an outdoor bar. Do not ruin this for me.
All right,
Okay.
we will not listen to Rainmaker in your honor.
We'll not listen to Rainmaker.
But if we're looking at least favorite song,
Least favorite.
Jai, I feel like you're going to say your favorite is New Frontier.
I do like that, and that is up there, but that's not my favorite.
New Frontier's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. I feel like the weakest song for me is Age of Innocence.
That's my favorite song on the album. Your opinion is common. People are like, I don't know. There's just something about that chorus that just hits me a bit differently. I love that. I put it on like 3 times today when I was like, it finished. I was like, oh, I could go back and listen to a little Age of Innocence again. You know, you're never too old to be innocent, are we, fellas?
I think my least favorite, I think, is Gates of Tomorrow. I think it's okay. I don't really like it, but I'd rather listen to Age of Innocence than Gates of Tomorrow.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Gates of Tomorrow is jammed between 2 good songs, though, so it's an easy like palate cleanse when you're like paying attention. So it's not bad. This album is very well paced, actually. I will say.
I think it's probably one of the best paced albums. I don't think, again, it reaches the heights of some of the other ones, but I think it's fantastic. I'm actually thinking that, to me, this is A tier.
Yeah, I think it is too. F tier artwork. I think it's 8. I do think it's 8 tier. It doesn't mean it's. It might be an A- at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But the guitar solos on this one in particular were outstanding.
Passchendaele to this date is still probably one of my favorite guitar solos.
And Dance to Death.
Dance to Death.
Yeah.
And the riffs, like Rainmaker, there's something different. They never did
Months
that.
ago is like one of the heaviest riffs that they've done as well. Yeah. Like it's a really good mix. And then you have the first time ever using double kick in Facing the Sand as well.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, fantastic album, well deserving of the A tier slot.
Yep.
The AT slut. I just want everyone to know that is what Drew said. So Dance to Death is your A tier slut.
I will wear that album out, just saying.
All right. We're going to get merch. Our first merch for this podcast is like, I'm an A tier slut.
All right, we're doing that.
And it's going to be Drew's face on the Reaper Eddie. That's it. That's our first merch.
Surrounded by you as the weird little ghouls. That's canon. That's happening. Speaking of cannons, there is a cannon on the tank on A Matter of Life or Death. This is probably going to be a controversial opinion to a lot of people, especially your old school metal fans. This is a hard 100% S tier album.
Yeah. They I don't know what they did. And they're really good at doing stuff in 3s. Actually, in the 80s, they did it in 5, but they do stuff well in 3s. And this album, I'm looking at the playlist right now. For the greater good of God is my favorite Maiden song. I'm not saying it's the best Maiden song. It's my favorite Maiden song. It has a bit of everything. The message is fantastic. It's just
that's a good that's a good song.
Yeah.
Gets you all hot and bothered. Get a little hot under the collar there for the greater good of God. It's just another solid album. Again, I don't think there is a weak song. They do get a bit more experimental with Lord of Light and The Legacy, but they're still amazing songs. Like Lord of Light is probably one of my favorites off the album. Then you got things like Brighter Than 1,000 Suns, The Pilgrim, The Longest Day, Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg, Out of the Shadows. Like every song just hits.
And I like Different World because it kind of leads you into a false sense of security because it's definitely the poppiest song. It's the shortest song in the album.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you hear it, so what you can hear, and you're like, oh, cool. And then you get all these proggy stuff and all these technical things as it goes on. It's like, you gaslit me, you bastards, to think I was just getting a really easy to listen to Poppy Maiden album and it's a boom up with
it is a deceptive, deceptive opening song.
I think this goes straight in the S tier, and in my opinion, it sits above Number of the Beast. Personally,
I think it does too. I think it's just kind of like everything that the old school Maiden fans hate. To an extent, because I know a lot of people that don't like proggy Maiden, yet they like Hallowed Be Thy Name, and Phantom of the Opera, so go figure. But prog's always kind of been in Iron Maiden's wheelhouse. I guess this album just had a lot of it, but it didn't come off as wanky either. It came off as like that was just the place they were. I think right after this, they were doing the Somewhere Back in Time tour, so they're like, cool, we've got all of our new writing energy out in these last 3 albums, and then they went and did a refresher, and then toured for Somewhere Back in Time, which is when
Yep.
we all first saw them as well.
Yeah. And that was kind of around the time that I think all of us were getting into Maiden. Like, I know I didn't get introduced to them until after A Matter of Life or Death came out. So it was interesting moving into the next album, The Final Frontier, of this is the time where I was into Maiden and I was anticipating the album coming out. So to me, there were kind of different expectations on it. What are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Let's have a look.
I gave it a re-listen to today because it's one of those albums where I think the artwork's really cool. Once again, I'm a big sci-fi guy. I was like, ooh, sci-fi theme stuff. Now, was this the album that came out before Bruce had his tongue cancer or after?
Well before.
Okay, well before. So that was okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. So nothing wrong with Bruce's voice on this. I'm just looking through it all. Like Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. If you cut that song in half and just have The Final Frontier be the song, that's a good opener.
Yeah.
But it takes like 4 minutes to get into it. So
it's
static.
Bizarre. Yeah.
This is where they kind of almost, it feels like they went the wanky prog route compared to something like A Matter of Life or Death. And I do like some songs on here.
El Dorado slaps. I will still put El Dorado in a playlist of Maiden songs. Like
El Dorado's good. I like The Talisman. I like Isle of Avalon. Like, there are quite a few good songs on here. But to me,
it's not too bad. I was never the biggest fan of Final Frontier.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, there are, like, I was just looking at it now at the track list, and like, honest, I forgot half those songs existed until I looked at the names just now. I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember it, sort of things.
I remember when I first heard this album, my brothers and I were driving somewhere, have no idea where. We bought it from a Caltex service station. We put it in, and El Dorado was cool. Don't get me wrong. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then it kept going on. I was like, nothing's kind of sticking to my brain of that's cool. It just kind of, it almost felt like it was, hey, these were the songs we didn't finish for A Matter of Life and Death. Let's try and finish them and get them on an album.
Where are we thinking of placing this? Because in my mind, personally, C to B, it feels like.
I was going to say D.
Really?
Yeah, but it's D or C for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've actually had a disagreement, because to me, being a guitarist, I think this is more a guitar-y album because there is a lot of cool riffs and I remember that. I don't remember the songs necessarily. So I personally would put it in C, but if you guys are saying D, we're putting it in
if you
D.
want to put it at the front of D for now, when we can talk about it a bit later. But I just don't know. I just kind of like, even when I was put it on today, I got up to Isles of Avalon and I was like, I'm going to go listen to another album now. Like, it couldn't hold my attention to listen to it the whole way through.
All right. Fair. We're getting towards the end of it. We go to album number 16, Book of Souls.
Book of Souls.
Now, this is one that, before I get into it, this is one that a lot of people on tier lists and ranking lists have in the bottom 5 albums by Iron Maiden.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It feels like it's top 5 for me, to be honest. I absolutely love this album.
I adore it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm looking at track list now, and I'm like, you know what? There are some tracks here that I don't listen to anymore, but there are some tracks I put on all the time. If Eternity Should Fail, I love Speed of Light.
Speed of Light is great.
The Red and the Black, The Book of Souls, Death or Glory is one of my favorite boppy Iron Maiden songs. I wish I saw the Book of Souls tour. I missed that one because I wanted to climb like a monkey, and now I'll never get that chance.
Fucking climb like a monkey.
I think it's a fantastic album, and we were making the argument earlier that The Wicker Man may be the strongest opening track of an Iron Maiden album. Now thinking about it, If Eternity Should Fail is probably a stronger track. I love both, don't get me wrong, but there's just something special about If Eternity Should Fail, and especially just the operaticness and the stage presence of it. Here is the soul of a man. It really sets the tone for the entire album from not only a musical perspective, but a story perspective as well. It really just gets you into that album. And then you have a song like Empire of the Clouds, which goes way above anything else Iron Maiden have ever done. 18 minutes long. fantastic.
Honestly, just a dream to see that played live with like an orchestra and stuff
Yep.
backing them up. It's just like already getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Just
Yeah.
imagine in like a huge
Same.
stadium, them playing that song, the last song you'll ever hear them play live with a fucking massive orchestra and everything going. Oh man.
I think it's a fantastic album. I think it. I don't know why people. Maybe it was a bit too long for some people, being a double album. Saying that, the next album is also a double album. Yeah, there are some. I like "Tears of a Clown." It's a pretty weak song, but
Yeah, I
close
don't mind
connection
too.
to Robin Williams. So
Yeah.
I like
Yeah, I
it.
quite like it. Yeah.
The guitar work on this is fantastic as well. Like you said, if Eternity Shall Fail is so good that Bruce even redid it again on his latest solo album.
True.
It's just I personally think this album does not deserve the hate it gets. I've seen people put Final Frontier above it. I've seen people put the X Factor above it before.
To me, this is S tier. This really is. Like, maybe you could make an argument for it being an A tier, but to me, it's S tier, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's a safe spot. S tier. For it.
Look at us sitting here with 7 S tier Iron Maiden albums.
Well, I think that
And
might be the
8.
last one.
I feel like that too. Senjutsu, thoughts?
You guys go first, because I've been listening to this album a lot recently, and I'm the only one to have seen some of these songs live out of us. So I'll go last.
I think it's better than Final Frontier. 100% better than Final Frontier.
That's a good start.
I'd say it's better than. I personally like it more than something like Killers or Virtual 11.
Yep.
I reckon it's even better than Fear of the Dark as well. But to me, it feels like it is a bit of a B tier album. I think on the first listen, I was like, yeah, this is cool. But nothing really, really hooked me other than The Time Machine. The Time Machine just, it was an earworm for me, and it just got into me.
Yeah.
When I feel like you hear Hell on Earth live, you're going to be blown away.
Okay.
Yeah. And you haven't heard it live. And Death of the Celts is great too. The follow-up to, the Klansmen. Days of Future Past is a fun little boppy one. The Writing on the Wall, the more I listen to that song, the more I dig it, because it's so different to every Iron Maiden song.
I really like Writing on the Wall. Like, I'll like pump that in the car. It's a good song in the car. Like, I do enjoy that song quite a bit.
The album opener, Senjutsu, which is a cool name. I like the kind of tribal drums they had, but it felt flat as an opener.
Yeah. Why wouldn't Writing on the Wall be the opener? I think I would have made a better opener.
I think even Stratego would have made a better opener. The Time Machine would have made a better opener. Like, there's a lot of ones I'm just looking at here. I don't know, Senjutsu, it's got the long intro.
Is probably the weakest song on the album for me. Like, I appreciate that they tried to do something different and something cool, but to me, it just felt kind of flat and dampened my enthusiasm for the album a bit. And I mean, obviously, it picks up a lot later with things like Hell on Earth, Death of the Celts, Time Machine, Days of Future Past, Lost in a Lost World. I love as well. Writing on the Wall.
Interesting. You skip Parchment, and I really fucking love the Parchment.
Really,
as a song. I fucking love the Parchment as a song. It's just because it's just got a vibe it starts like you get the story vibe from it, and it just doesn't end. Like, it just goes through the whole song. It's just the whole song has that whole vibe and story to it, which I really enjoy, and it keeps me hooked into it. I don't know. I really like the Parchment, and when you like listen to it, you get like mad story mode out of it, and I just really like it.
I might have to honestly, like, after the first couple listens of this album, and I mean, it's come on here and there, I kind of put it down and went back to my old standbys, and I don't think I've given it another chance these days. And maybe with the tour coming up this week, that's probably a good idea to do as well. So
saying that as well, and maybe this is why I have a better memory of it. I remember we talked about it briefly when this album first came out. We thought the keyboards and the synths felt like they weren't properly produced. They sounded a bit cheap in some certain songs. They don't sound like that live.
Okay.
So it's almost like a Metallica with the Injustice for All. Like, you can't hear the bass, and that really hurts. I will listen to those songs live from the 1988 like live version of that album, because they kill, but
Mhm.
the lack of bass is noticeable, and it dampens that album for me. And that's a lot of people's favorite album. And I think maybe the key is just because they're kind of like, they're not good, they're not bad, they're MIDI.
Yeah,
And it
quite
feels
literally.
like they could have just been, if they were a bit warmer and a bit brighter,
Yep.
maybe that would have made the world a difference, and it would have brought this warmth and kind of atmosphere to it.
Yeah,
rather
because
than,
as it stands, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. It was
because
jarring.
it kind of feels like that's the keyboards they put in to replace later when they got the guy to come in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what it felt like a bit. Like, they're not horrible, and they're obviously a pass, but there's certain songs where I'm kind of like, Senjetsu is one of them, where it's like, oh, like, what's going on? There's a
Yeah.
couple of times on the song Senjetsu too, where it sounds like Bruce is recording in a different room, but he left his mic in this room. You can still hear him, but it sounds like he's battling through a wall. And it's only really on that song and maybe one other. So maybe just, the recording that day, they were just kind of like, well, we're not going to fucking redo it. So
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm thinking this feels like C tier to me, to be honest. Maybe B tier, because like you mentioned, the last 3 tracks are super strong, and there is some good stuff on there. But I
I
don't
like
find
it
myself...
better than everything we've got C tier.
How about we put it in B tier?
Yeah, I think B is a good spot for it. Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
So there we have the list of S tier to D tier. Now we rank, and this is probably going to be the hard part.
Okay, can we go from bottom to top? I don't want to go, this is the best. I want to build up to that, because that's when the arguments start. We can all just go, yeah, that sucks.
Cool.
But yeah, got to go from there.
Yeah.
What is the worst Iron Maiden album? Is it No Prayer for the Dying?
I feel like I would take No Prayer for the Dying over the X Factor, personally.
Yeah.
If you had to delete all the songs, they no longer exist as Iron Maiden songs, would you live with yourself with not having a Sign of the Cross as a song in their discography?
No. No.
That's when you put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
Like, Holy Smoke is there for the video, but
that's it.
And I like the song, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But to never hear a song like Sign of the Cross, I can't do it. I can't have that be on the worst Iron Maiden album.
Yeah.
All right. So is our D tier staying pretty solid? Like, would you take Final Frontier over X Factor?
If X Factor had Bruce's vocals, no.
Okay.
But it doesn't.
Factor.
Janko?
X Factor. Just having a quick look at the track list again.
Do a Man on the Edge. I don't know. I'm just trying to weigh it up.
The Edge. Blood on the World's Hands, not too bad.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Honestly,
I actually like a lot of the Flies, so yeah.
Look, majority rules in this case. I was not expecting Final Frontier to get that low, personally, but here we are.
Eldorado is still good.
Eldorado is still good, and I have a soft spot for Isle of Babylon. I don't know why. I think it's just the proggy 7/4 bit that I really love. So is our D tier staying solid? Are we moving anything in C tier down to D tier?
Well, I guess they're not in tiers anymore. They're from 17 to 1 now. This is just our base form. Yeah, probably Virtual 11 is probably next in line.
Virtual 11.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, if anything we're gonna move, it'd be Virtual 11.
If it was going to move down to D tier.
Yeah.
I think it belongs. I think it's strong enough that it can stay in C tier, to be honest. But I still think it being the number 17, 16, 15, 14 slot. I think it being the number 14 slot is the correct choice.
Yeah.
And it also does have Angel the Gambler on it.
That's enough for it to...
I love Angel the Gambler.
Yeah,
I don't think...
Am I still here?
You, Jay.
Am I still here?
Yes, you are. Killers...
leave it in C.
All right, so then next...
Killers.
Killers versus Iron Maiden. I think
Iron Maiden's
Purely-
more memorable for me.
Oh, God,
Same.
Yeah.
Purely on the idea of Phantom of the Opera, I think Iron Maiden is the stronger album. So then that becomes Iron Maiden versus Senjutsu. What do you guys pick over that? Because to me,
I might even bump Iron Maiden up to above Fear of the Dark too, because it does have Iron Maiden on it. I do like Remember Tomorrow.
yeah, actually,
I like Wrathchild actually.
Yeah, Wrathchild. Yeah, no,
Rothschild's
actually,
on Killers.
yeah, Killers. Because I think that's the only saving grace for Killers for me, because they don't
Mm,
cool artwork. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people love it, but that's that raw 70s Maiden that didn't exist after those two albums. So
yeah.
Yeah. So are Iron Maiden and Killers staying where they are? Are we bumping anything down? Like, does Iron Maiden go above Fear of the Dark?
Iron Maiden above Fear of the Dark.
That feels wrong to say to me. I'm sure
a lot
please
of
the old school
oh,
fans.
yeah. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people would be agreeing. I'm just trying. I love Fear of the Dark's got the best song. Fan of the Opera's great. Iron Maiden's great. It'd be weird going and seeing Iron Maiden without them playing Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, like I said, I like Remember Tomorrow.
Does Iron Maiden go above Senjutsu?
I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. Nah.
So does Fear of the Dark fall behind?
I think so. I think we argued that there were enough strong songs on Senjutsu, like Riding on the Wall, Death of the Celts, Hell on Earth, Time Machine. They're all good songs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right. I think we are solid in the B tier here then.
Yeah.
So then moving to the A tier, Dance of Death versus Peace of Mind.
That's the first Peace of Mind, though.
I
pull up
have a
these
slight
track lists.
argument that Dance of Death is better than Peace of Mind. Yes, Peace of Mind has the Trooper. Dance of Death has a whole lot of the good stuff on it.
That's Death, has a Passchendaele. It's like,
I would put it above it too. Like I said, Trooper's the best song across the board there. I really do like Dive Your Boots On. I think that's a fun little bop. Revelation's great. Flight of Icarus, Where Eagles Dare. They're all great songs. But I don't necessarily think they're better than Rainmaker or Wildest Dreams or Dance of Death or Passchendaele either, besides the Trooper. But then they've got Quest of Fire. And like I said, I like Age of Innocence. So I don't know. My opinion might not be valid anymore.
No, I think I agree.
Yeah.
I think Dance of Death is above Peace of Mind, and that's another one that's probably going to piss off the old school fans.
I'd put it above.
I think,
Yeah.
So now we have the unenviable task of ranking the 7 albums we have in S tier.
How do we start? Is the question.
Does anything move down to A?
If I had to pick one to move down to A, honestly, Number of the Beast.
It's funny. I was thinking, and you'll hate me for it, I was thinking Book of Souls. Not because those songs are bad. It's just there's a couple of tracks on there I just don't put on at all. There's songs on Number of the Beast I don't put on. But it's got Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Book of Souls, the song itself, I think is another one of those quintessential Iron Maiden songs that you could show to somebody to get them into Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
I think Hallowed Be Thy Name is the strongest song of the two. I think, personally to me, Book of Souls as an album, I like more.
I do too, because I'm in that part of my life and I like the way it flows. I like the change. It's got the boppy song like Speed of Light. It's got the big epic at the end. I personally think they did something really special on this album that a lot of people shunned to an extent because nostalgia comes into it as well. Now, that's one thing I guess we've got the benefit of ranking these albums that a lot of people don't have, is we do have nostalgia, but we've also been nostalgic about these albums for so long now that we're kind of willing to accept when new stuff comes out because we were in the Iron Maiden already when Book of Souls came out. So we could have easily have shunned that. But I remember when I first listened to it going, that's a big step up from Final Frontier because I was worried. And maybe Final Frontier was purposely there to fucking set the bar low. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah.
Quite possibly. Of the two, I feel like
Do you like it more than Brave New World, or do you like?
Brave New. I like Brave New World better than Book of Souls.
I think I like Book of Souls more than Brave New World.
Oh, it comes down to me.
You have the power, Jay.
See, I like Dance of Death more than Brave New World, but not by much, so that doesn't matter. So I'm happy I can make peace with that.
Mm.
Their best song, I don't know. You got the Wicker Man and Brave New World and Blood Brothers. If Eternity Should Fail, Death or Glory though. I probably listen to Book of Souls more,
Fair point. Yep.
but it's so close.
It's ridiculously close.
If there was a hair where I was just like, well, it has better album art, but Brave New World.
100%. Yeah, if that was the tier list we were doing or the ranking we were doing, 100% that would be it. So then we've got Power Slave versus Book of Souls. To me, I love Book of Souls. I think Power Slave is the better.
Yeah, I was gonna have an aneurysm if you said that. I was like, but Ace is High and Power Slave and Run the Ancient Mariner and 2 Minutes to Midnight and Flash of the Blade.
You'll never get me with Flash of the Blade. I think that belongs there. Now,
I think it belongs above Number of the Beast. We're already debating pushing Number of the Beast down. I think Power Slave was a step up.
Number of the Beast first.
Does Number of the Beast sit at the end of S tier or does it go into A tier?
No, I think with the impact it had, don't forget, you're probably sick of listening to it, but a lot of people love Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast.
This is true.
Yeah.
I really like The Prisoner. And Children of the Damned. I think we've skipped over that the whole time we've talked.
I love Children of the Damned.
Fantastic song. Absolutely amazing song. Worthy.
It stays in S, for sure.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of nostalgia to it because it was
true.
It was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Power Slave versus Ammo Lad.
I know what I want to say, but I will surrender my time over to Janko to go
Power
first.
Slave versus A Matter of Life or Death. Let's have a look. Just need to refresh myself. I don't know. I think a couple of songs I like on Ammo Lad that I enjoy, but there's just something about Power Slave.
Even with For the Greater Good of God, you can't have Aces High and Power Slave on the same album and go Ammo Lad's better, unfortunately.
I think both are fantastic. 10 out of 10 albums. I think Power Slave reaches slightly higher heights with its best songs than Ammo Lad does. I'd argue Ammo Lad is the better overall album of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But Power Slave it has another level to it.
Yeah, it really kind of changed. It kind of changed Maine's direction because Number of the Beast was half what they were going to do in the future and half what they were doing beforehand. And Peace of Mind was still kind of in that. They kind of dropped the epics a bit, like Revelations, I guess, but it wasn't as good as Halo. But then they came back with Power Slave, and you had Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and you had Power Slave, and they're like, we can do these big fucking cool songs and them rock.
Yeah.
So, you have to put Power Slave.
Yeah.
Power Slave might keep moving up. I don't know.
So, we've got our top three.
Top three.
And I think we're all in agreement that these three albums belong in the top three.
They're good albums.
We have Power Slave, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and Somewhere in Time. How do we place these? I think this is probably the hardest choice because I think each album, especially Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son, are flawless albums.
Each album looks like their artwork.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, it's this weird association thing where it's like that is 100% Power Slave. It's it has that aesthetic musically.
Power and Slave. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. Like I love Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, and you got some awesome songs like Ali loves "Can I Play with Madness." You know, for the Evil That Man too. They're two of the these are a bit more for the casual radio play type things.
Yep.
You got stuff like Moonchild. Bloody, I'm drawing a blank on what else is on there. I almost said Heaven Can Wait, but it's Somewhere in Time.
Only the good die young, the prophecy, the clairvoyant,
Clairvoyant, yeah.
the evil that men do, infinite dreams.
Yeah, Infinite Dreams is the one I was thinking of.
Mhm.
But I still don't know if it's better than Power Slave. I don't know if it has a Power Slave or a Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and it certainly doesn't have an Aces High.
Nah, me personally, I'd put Power Slave above Seventh Son.
See, coming into this, I thought Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son of the Seventh Son were going to be the top two, like bar none. I think I'm in agreement with the highs of Power Slave just overtake.
Yeah.
Would I take Power Slave, the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son? The songs alone, they're both fantastic songs, but I think I take Power Slave. So Power Slave's moving up.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd listen to Power Slave over Seventh Son as a song. I really like Power Slave.
We reach the final decision, lads.
Yeah, Power Slave.
Next question.
Do we think Power Slave is better than Somewhere in Time? I know, Jai, you and I have talked about this before, where Somewhere in Time is, I think, by far the most flawless album Iron Maiden have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But is that enough to keep it above the strength of Power Slave?
It has Alexander the Great, and I think that got looked over for so long. Because when you talk about epics that close an album, at least Somewhere in Time has the epic that can rival the end of Power Slave, where these other albums didn't. Hallowed Be Thy Name being the last song on, number, different story. But when it comes to the end, and coming with Alexander the Great, and that guitar solo, everything about it, and actually guitar solos galore on this album. Caught Somewhere in Time, the bass in Stranger in Strangeland is so different. It feels sci-fi. Like I said, Power Slave feels like it's based around this old mythology or old tales like the Ancient Mariner is, and Power Slave, the Egyptians and the power struggle. But Somewhere in Time does feel like an 80s sci-fi. Like even Wasted Years feels like it could be in a corny action sci-fi film from the
100%. I think Sea of Madness is one of the most underrated Iron Maiden songs there is.
It's pretty underrated,
love that song. And I'd argue that's how the cows come home. I think I love both albums dearly, but I feel like it's Somewhere in Time has it.
I think so too, because I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like, what earworms do I instantly have? Because this whole time we've been doing this playlist, I've been going, tell me why I have to be a Power Slave. But now we're talking about somewhere. Not even that. I'm sitting here going, far from the east. Isn't it? Like there's so many earworms in these good tracks. Both of them are so good. And I think it has to be Somewhere in Time because they didn't do anything. Not that they really did it again with Power Slave either. But both these albums feel like they're these albums. Those songs you're not mistaking
any
sea
song
of
for anything else.
On Seventh Son. You're not mistaking it. Like I look at say something like let's go. Some songs on Ammo Lag could have been on Book of Souls. Some songs on Senjutsu could have been, on Book of Souls as well. Dance Deaf and Brave New World, you probably could have just chopped them back and forward to each other to make a different album. But with Power Slave, and them being back to back too, that's a huge point. Back to back, even Seventh Son, they're all very different to each other, and I think that's why they stand out so well because it was like 10 out of 10 album, 10 out of 10 album, 10 out of 10 album that all felt like Iron Maiden. They all sounded different.
Yes, they all had their own uniqueness, their own story, their own flow, and everything. So you like you were saying before, you wouldn't expect Alex. In a way, Alexander the Great kind of fits Power Slave because, they're talking ancient history.
To Midnight kind of could go into Somewhere in Time as well on that flip side. So
but they also don't feel out of place though. Either.
Interesting.
I think Somewhere in Time has it. So are we
Somewhere
all
in Time is just so good.
We think it's the best Iron Maiden, or
I think that Somewhere in Time is the best Iron Maiden album.
Yes. This is a cheeky way of just us plugging the Days of Future Past tour. We're actually sponsored by Iron Maiden. We're not sponsored by Iron
We're
Maiden.
not sponsored by Iron Maiden. We don't have any sponsors, but if you do want to reach out, especially if you have a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, we would love to hear from you. We want all the sponsorships. I think we've come up with a good list here.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some controversy around it, especially with some of the older albums, but
Yep.
that's the whole point. This is an opinion piece. This is what we think, and we'd love to hear what other people think as well. If you have any hot takes on any of these albums, anything that you think should have been higher or lower, we'd love to hear it. So there will be comment section in the YouTube video. Subscribe to the podcast, do all the cool things that you normally do, to things online that you like, and we'd love to hear your opinions.
A lot of the things online I like, I have to put in a secret tab. But anyway, that's neither here or there.
Delete browser history.
You don't use incognito mode, Janko? What the hell's wrong with you?
Incognito mode?
He still uses best and less catalogs.
Steers catalog.
That has been us for the first episode of the NerdFlow. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, we'd love all kinds of feedback for this. We will be back every week with other topics, covering a whole range of shit, not just metal. I think next week is possibly something to do with games, or maybe even a snack tier list of iconic Australian snacks. There's a whole lot of stuff that we want to cover because we're a bunch of idiots who love a whole lot of different stuff, and we love talking about it and debating it. So we'll get a lot more of that. Guys, closing remarks.
Well, hopefully one day my secret websites will make a tier list, because I can't wait to get down to that. That is going to be fun. I would like to do that one alone, please. And we will do that. If you want to see that one, you comment down below.
We'll have a secret Patreon or a site that is only for fans, potentially, to
and we can upload many vids to it.
Oh, the uncensored versions.
Yes.
Got to subscribe to our Patreon for the uncensored podcast. Wink, wink. Janko, closing remarks.
That was fun. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys had fun too. So definitely look forward to our next podcast and discussion that we do. So hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And
look, this is the first one as well, so it's going to get better over time. It's going to get better over time. At least that's what I kept telling myself when it came to the secret website type of stuff. It will get better over time. The more we do it. So,
And if you want an A-tier slut shirt, let us know, because we will make it and we will happily shill out and sell you things straight away. I'm not above commercialism. Give me money. Give us money. Help us do this thing that we love.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, guys, that was fun. You have watched the NerdFlow.
Hoorah.
See you next time.